After 3 years of delays and legal maneuvers, the trial of accused Night Stalker Richard Ramirez is finally set to start tomorrow in a Los Angeles courtroom. The 28-year-old drifter is charged in a series of 13 murders and 30 other felonies. He allegedly added the haunting element of devil worship to his crimes and even flaunted a pentagram for spectators at his arraignment hearing. Prosecutors say the evidence against Ramirez is overwhelming, and the main question will be whether he gets the death penalty. His defense attorney has revealed little of his own strategy, except to say that Ramirez will not plead insanity.
In Mission Viejo, a town 76 miles south of Los Angeles, he shot a man, left him for dead, and then raped his girlfriend. But this time, detectives got a solid lead from a neighborhood teenager.
The young witness, a few blocks away from where the attempt murder occurred, was able to recall a partial license plate. Well, eventually we ran that partial and we came up with a stolen car that matched the description of what the young man said. That car was found in a parking lot in downtown Los Angeles. And in the rearview mirror, where you reach up and adjust it, the killer had left a partial fingerprint.
There were tips coming in right and left, and it led the sheriff's department to a couple of informants who were fencing the jewelry for Ramirez.
So now we have a name, now we got a print. The Orange County homicide detective took that fingerprint, flew to Sacramento, and had it compared, physically compared.
The prints matched Ramirez. He had fingerprints on file because he had been convicted of some misdemeanors. From there, they got a photograph. They were able to publicize it.
On August 31st, 1985, the Night Stalker's murder spree came to a surprising and dramatic end. The killer was spotted in East Los Angeles. Ramirez was chased down and beaten by a group of neighbors after he tried to steal a car.
We rushed him up against the fence, and he just fell into the fence.
News of the Night Stalker's arrest spread quickly.
I remember my dad's face, he got tears in his eyes, and his face looked like he's seen a ghost.
What's your name?
In September of 1985, Richard Ramirez was formally charged.
13 counts of murder, 30 other felonies involving rape, sodomy, forcible oral copulation, and burglary.
Ramirez pled not guilty.
Say that.
We were there for the court hearing, and that's when Richie came out with the pentagram on his hand.
Serial killers, they are a product of the times, and these are bloodthirsty times.
I covered a lot of murder trials. I sat 5 feet from Charlie Manson, and he wasn't scary at all. Ramirez was a scary dude, and he was evil.
While Ramirez waited for his trial to begin, detectives continued to sift through all the evidence.
The shoes we never did get.
But police did recover a number of other items.
Law enforcement was able to get a search warrant for a locker that Ramirez had at the bus station. In that locker was a trove of clues. There was some jewelry. There was some live ammunition from .25 caliber semi-automatic pistol.
The same type of gun used in several murders.
And that's how prosecution was able to link that gun to Ramirez, even though the gun was never recovered.
In February of 1989, nearly 4 years after he was arrested, Richard Ramirez finally went on trial.
He tended to dress like the Night Stalker. He wore a leather jacket in court, black pants, black shoes. He wore sunglasses in court.
Serial killers, they don't commit their crimes to become a celebrity, but once they're caught, they have no problem being a celebrity.
Ramirez had groupies who came to court, seemed to follow the case.
I know that he's a nice person because I've met him, and I know. I just wanted to see what he looked like. I think he's cute.
When he saw that all the groupies and everybody were starting to follow him, all these beautiful women, and I think that's when he realized, I can work with this.
But Ramirez didn't impress the jurors. The trial lasted 7 months, and on September 20th, 1989, they reached a verdict.
The verdict was guilty on all counts. The penalty recommendation was death.
I remember my grandpa, he let tears down his eyes, It was really sad.
I'll see you in Disneyland.
You know, you can't even explain somebody like that.
Still, the question remained. What drove Richard Ramirez to commit these horrible murders?
Once he was sentenced, my partner and I, we wanted to pick his brain. We wanted to know what makes an individual do what he did. And there was nothing there that stood out as to why a guy like this would do this.
I think he wanted to be the boogeyman, and I think he loved that. That's what gave him the power that he never had in the rest of his life.
Richard Ramirez spent 14 years on death row. The Night Stalker received thousands of fan letters, and he married one of his admirers in 1996.
Very, very proud to have married Richard and to be his wife.
In 2013, the 53-year-old killer died of complications from lymphoma.
I think that Richard Ramirez should be remembered as a person that was troubled, but not by his own will. And that's not an excuse for what he did.
These cases fade from the public memory, but for the victim survivors, it's forever.
Every day you see what people will do and won't do. Is there somebody else out there like that? Hopefully not, but yeah, probably.
In the 1980s, the serial killer Richard Ramirez, the infamous Night Stalker, lived there.
Richard Ramirez, a drifter from El Paso, Texas, and a self-described Satan worshiper, began his reign of terror in June 1984.
Richard Ramirez was still alive in prison when Elisa's body was found. But is it possible that his devil-worshipping rituals that many say took place on the very roof where Elisa Lam's body was discovered?
I was petrified. I managed to push the door open and fell to the street. Suddenly, as I looked up at him, I realized who he was. I kept screaming for help.
Her husband heard her screams, came out, hit him in the head.
He ran, and I hit him again. Once more, he took off, and once more, I hit him.
Neighbors grab him, and they hold him and call the cops.
Police in Los Angeles believe they have their man. Richard Ramirez, arrested today after being held by an angry crowd.
Robert came home all disappointed. He's like, well, it looks like they caught Richie. To tell you the truth, I thank God that he was caught. But it was all about the family. We went to El Paso, and we picked up the family. We took them to Los Angeles. They wanted to give him support.
It takes almost 3 years to bring the complex case to trial. Valuables that Richard had stolen prove a key part of linking him to his crimes.
We had a room filled with recovered stolen property.
Main seated and come to order. Division 72 is again in session.
The trial was very stressful. I just wanted to find a way out of there for me and my kids, and we were stuck. I was married to Robert.
My Uncle Richie came out smiling, and he lifted up his hand, and he had like this pentagram on his hand, and I didn't know what it was, you know, and he was like flashing it all stupid, and I'm like, what the heck is he doing, you know? And he just thought he was so cool walking and, you know, smiling at all of us, and it was sickening.
The trial lasts 15 months.
Having found the defendant, Richard Ramirez, guilty of the murder of Mabel Bell in the first degree.
Richard Ramirez, the devil-worshipping drifter from Texas, has been found guilty of 13 murders, 5 attempted murders, and 11 sexual assaults.
Everything that we charged him with, he was convicted of. And I got in bed that night, and I cried. I still get emotional thinking about it. Then it was over.
I was very happy and relieved that this monster was stopped.
Richard Ramirez is sentenced to death. His response?
A big deal. Death always went with the territory. I'll see you in Disneyland.
Ramirez is sent to San Quentin's death row, but even there, he manages to harass women, including his visiting 12-year-old niece.
He kept staring at me, you know, and told me to stand against like the wall, the brick wall, so he could see my dress. Well, that's what I thought, you know, but he was really looking at my body. And like he stood up and he started in front of me. And he was like telling me that if I wasn't his niece, he would me any day. Those were his exact words.